So you should be open in your vocab notebook to the Kids Get It Done vocab. We had 4 words yesterday, so today we are adding 4 more. Aaron, you will have all 4. Underneath number 4, go ahead and draw a squiggly line to show that even though it fits, it's a new day. And then today's date is February 9th, 2021, and we're going to be starting with number 5. You should have a squiggly line underneath number 4 from yesterday, today's date, and then we're going to start with number 5. Number 5 is the word promote. Promote. How many syllables are in promote? Mason? 2. Promote. P-R-O-M-O-T-E. Promote is a verb, and it means to move forward, improve, or advance. So promote is a verb that means to move forward, improve, or advance. If you do well in 4th grade, you will be promoted to 5th grade. There it is in context. Number 6 is the word priority. Priority. How many syllables does priority have? Aaron?
2.
Not 2. What did you mean to say? 4. Wait, sorry, my fingers got messed up because of the marker. Priority. Priority. That's how many times my chin moves my hand down. Priority. Priority. Priority is a noun. Oh, I forgot to spell it. P-R-I-O-R-I-T-Y. P-R-I-O-R-I-T-Y. Priority. And it is a noun. And it means that something has, or it is something, that has something that has importance, urgency, or necessity. So priority is something that has importance, urgency, or necessity. If you make studying a priority, you will do well in math or in school. Yes, Aaron.
Can you spell importance and necessity?
Importance is spelled I-M-P-O-R-T-A-N-C-E. Necessity is spelled N-E-C-E-S-S-I-T-Y. Number 7 is the word devastating. Devastating. How many syllables does devastating have? Cullen.
4.
4. Devastating. Devastating has 4 syllables. Devastating. Devastating. D-E-V-A-S-T-A-T-I-N-G. D-E-V, oops, I'm sorry. D-E-V-A-S-T-A-T-I-N-G. Devastating. Devastating is an adjective. It's a describing word. What part of speech do adjectives describe? Aaron.
A noun.
Nouns. What's the one called that describes a verb? Mason.
An adverb.
An adverb. So devastating is an adjective, and it means that something causes great ruin or something is extremely destructive. So devastating means that something causes great ruin or is extremely destructive. Yes.
Can you spell extremely?
Extremely. E-X-T-R-E-M-E-L-Y. Yes, Victoria.
Like a tornado?
I'll tell you in context. A hurricane is a devastating event along the coast. So devastating is used to describe the word event or storm. I should have said storm. Hurricanes are devastating storms that hit the coast. So that means devastating is describing the storm, which means the storm is extremely destructive. Okay, last word, number 8. Number 8 is the word commitment. Now this has some, make sure to spell it correctly. Commitment. How many syllables is the word commitment? Michaela?
3.
3. Commitment. Commitment. 3 syllables. C-O-M-M-I-T-M-E-N-T. Commitment is a noun. Michaela, don't forget to mute yourself. And it is a sense of duty or dedication. Commitment is a sense of duty or dedication. Her commitment to school caused her to get a full scholarship to the college of her choice. Okay, those are all your words. Make sure to get them copied. And then open your book to page 334. What do we use Venn diagrams to do? Lena?
To compare.
To compare, and not only to compare, but also to contrast. To compare and to contrast. So as we're reading, we know we're going to be reading about at least 2 different things, because this circle is for one item. This circle is for another item. Where they meet is how the 2 things are alike. The outside is how they are different. If we're saying how things are different, does that mean we are comparing or are we contrasting? Ethan? We're contrasting. if things are alike? Are we comparing them or contrasting? Smith?
Comparing.
Comparing. So luckily our graphic organizer today already tells us, what we're going to be comparing and contrasting. We're going to be comparing and contrasting the UN Special Session on Children to the World Children Organization. As we read, we're going to be answering these questions. We're going to be using this to answer these questions. Who is involved? What they do, and what is the focus. Remember, like the one we did yesterday, okay, if I'm writing on the board, you're writing on your paper. If I'm writing, that's why you cannot zone out, because if I'm writing on the board, you're writing on your paper. If you zone out and all of a sudden go back and realize I wrote all this stuff, then first of all, you don't know why you're writing it, you're just copying. Second of all, you're missing what I'm saying right after. So that's 2 reasons why you need to stay focused and write what I write. While if you're writing as I'm writing, you know why you're writing. And you won't miss what comes next because you'll already be done. If you're unfocused, you don't know why you're writing this, you're just copying it. And then you miss whatever I'm saying while you're copying. Remember, whenever we compare and contrast 2 different things using a Venn diagram, whatever's in the middle is how they're alike. Whenever we say how they're different, we have to say, okay, this one does this, but this one does this. So we have to say how they're different. So we have to have the same amount of facts on each side, because one is going to say what this one does that this one doesn't do, or how this one does something, but then how this one does something separate, or what this one is worried about and what this is worried about something different. So you have to match the differences on each side. Does everybody understand what I mean by that? You'll see, we'll do it like we did yesterday. We said on our Venn diagram we did yesterday, what did we say? We said that both girls were enterprising, both girls created charities, but then, bless you, this girl lived in California while this girl lived in Indiana. This girl donated supplies while this girl donated books. This girl donated to children, to homeless children, while this girl donated to children in hospitals. So do you see they matched, but they were different? Okay? So we're going to do the same thing today as we read about the UN Special Session on Children and the World Children Organization. So everybody should be open to page 334, ready to read when your stick gets called. Mason, please read the genre of this passage we are reading today.
A non-fiction article in a newspaper or magazine tells a true story.
So we're reading a nonfiction article. Everything we read is going to be true. So that means, was this story written to entertain? Was this written to entertain if everything we read is going to be true? No. I mean, it may entertain us, but that wasn't the purpose. The purpose is either going to be to inform or to persuade. Mason, what is the strategy skill that we're working on?
Compare and contrast.
A little louder.
When you look for similarities, you compare 2 or more things or ideas. When you look for differences, you contrast 2 or more things or ideas.
Good. So that's just a little recap on what does it mean to compare. Well, you're saying what's the same, what's similar, what's alike. What is contrasting? Well, that's when you're telling the differences. Okay, thank you, Mason. Victoria, please read the title.
Kid reporters at work. How do kid reporters tell the stories
Louder.
when the news is about improving the lives of children?
Okay. Read that first paragraph.
Each year, the news magazine Time for Kids selects several young people to serve.
Louder.
You want me to read the sentence?
Yes. Loud, loud, loud.
Each year, the news magazine Time for Kids selects several young people who serve as TFK kid reporters. These enterprising kids are not professional journalists,
Louder.
but like adult reporters, they still have to show they are
Try it.
qualified.
Start at the comma. Confidence. They still.
They still have to show they are qualified for the job. 3 skills they must have are persistence in tracking down a story, good interviewing skills, and the ability to write clearly about complicated topics.
Look at that last sentence Victoria read. 3 skills they must have are persistence in tracking down a story, good interviewing skills, and the ability to write clearly about complicated topics. Would that be comparing or contrasting the kid reporters? Is that sentence comparing or contrasting the kid reporters? Mason, is that how they're different? Remember, contrasting tells how kids are different. So would that sentence be saying how the kids have to be different or how the kids have to be the same? So if that's telling us how the kids have to be the same, is it comparing or contrasting them? Comparing. Remember, if you're trying to say, if you're contrasting, you're going to have very different things. That's saying that 3 skills they, as in the kids, must have are persistence in tracking down a story, good interviewing skills, and the ability to write clearly about complicated topics. Does that mean some of them have one of the skills, another one has a second skill, and the others have the third skill? Or do they all have the same 3 skills? Carla.
Miss Polis, I might have to have it on the camera
Okay.
for right now.
Okay.
Okay. They will all be alike doing the same 3 topics.
So they will have the same 3 skills. Okay? Read next. Smith, loud and slow.
Here's a behind-the-scenes look at 2 TFK reporters and 2 of the stories they covered for the magazine. The reporters don't have much in common except that they are both determined to do a good job as reporters covering an interesting story.
Smith,
The
pause.
stories...
Pause for a second. Let's look at that sentence that Smith just read. The reporters don't have much in common except that they are both determined to do a good job as reporters covering an interesting story. Now that sentence does both. It compares and contrasts. How does that sentence contrast the kid reporters? Zadie,
It says that they're not much alike.
what does it say exactly?
It says the reporters don't have much in common.
It says the reporters don't have much in common. So that's saying how they're different, right? They don't have a lot in common. Well, that sentence also compares. How does it compare? Michaela.
It says they are both determined to do a great job.
They are both determined to do a good job. Now, there's a word in that part of the sentence that tells us, that gives us a clue that they're comparing. What word in that part of the sentence that Michaela just read tells us that they are comparing? Lena.
Both.
Both. Remember that was on your homework last night. That was one of the words in the words that show a comparison. Both means you're talking about two things and saying they have the same thing. I wouldn't say both dogs are both dogs have brown eyes, but one has green. If I'm talking about two dogs, I would not say both have brown eyes, except that one has green. Would we say that? No, they either both have brown eyes or one has brown eyes and one has green eyes. So if you're using both, you're saying two things are going to share a similarity. Okay, Smith, finish out that paragraph.
The stories seem quite different at first, too. However, they have some strong similarities.
Good. So that's just telling us there are going to be things alike, the strong similarities, but there's going to be some differences. They seem quite different at first. Okay, thank you, Smith. Read next. Me. Even though I'm reading. Do you zone out and stop following with your finger? No. So everybody, ready to follow with your finger? We're starting with the title. Reporter, Terrence Chiromika. Story, A World Conference Just for Kids. Terrence, from Pennsylvania, plays softball, basketball, and field hockey. She loves to read and write. She's also very interested in travel and has visited France and Thailand. In 2002, however, she had the chance to meet people from all over the world without traveling very far at all. That year, Terrence got an assignment from TFK to go to New York City to cover the opening ceremonies of the United Nations Special Session on Children. UN, United Nations Special Session on Children. So we're going to find all the facts about this. Where? Ethan? On this page, in this part of the passage. Okay, read next. Zari. Carla, focus.
Is my background pretty low?
Yep.
The event was a follow-up to a conference held at the UN in 1990 to promote the rights of children. World leaders and 375 young people met to discuss what had been accomplished since 1990 and how much more needed to be done. Issues with the High East priority were healthcare, education, and basic rights for the children of the world.
Zari, pause. I want you to read that sentence again. Everybody listen.
Issues with the High East
Not
priority.
High East. Sorry, highest. Not High East. East is EAST.
Issues with the highest priority were health care, education, and basic rights for the children of the world.
Pause. Why do you think I wanted Zari to read that twice? Smith.
Because there's important information in that paragraph.
How do you know? Well, in that sentence, she only reread a sentence. How do you know that that sentence is going to have important information? Sorry?
Because you said this page would have information about.
Okay. But there's a page full of sentences. Why did I have you reread that one?
Because do you want to call someone else?
Zadie, why did I have her reread that one sentence?
Because maybe it had some information that we weren't going to find anywhere else. So you wanted us to pay attention to that.
There's a clue. Not on the book. In what we've already done, if you were paying attention and not just copying. Kingston?
I was going to say that this is how
No. Colin?
Because it has who is involved.
Does that sentence say who is involved? Does that sentence, Colin? Does that sentence say who is involved? Does it have a group of people or anything?
No.
So does it?
No.
Nope. Victoria?
That's what they do.
Is it what they do? Does it say what they actually do in that conference? What does the word focus mean? If you're saying my focus is, what does that mean? Mason? So is if I'm focusing on something, is it important or is it just like, meh, whatever? It's important. Earlier we wrote what is the focus. This says issues with the highest priority. So if they're the highest priority, what is the focus of the UN World Conference on Kids or Special Session on Children? Zadie?
Healthcare, education, and basic rights for the children.
Healthcare, education, and basic rights for the children of the world. Now, do we know if that's going to be different from the World Children Organization, Zadie? But should we keep it in mind? Because it's either going to go here, since that's one of the questions we're answering, or it's going to go here, because it's going to match for both of them. I can see a lot of you were just copying when I wrote these, instead of listening to the fact that we're going to answer these questions and thinking about what the words meant as you wrote them. Okay, Zari, finish out that paragraph.
UN Secretary General
Kofi Annan
addressed the opening season.
Not season.
Session. Speaking directly to the young people in attendance, he said, "Your voice will be heard."
Not your voice. Not just one voice.
He said, "Your voices will be heard. I promise you."
Okay. Aaron, read next. Loud and slow. You've got to be loud because you've got to be louder than the lawn people. I wish they wouldn't come during the school day, but okay.
For her story, Terrence interviewed kids from several different countries about what they hoped the conference would accomplish. We hope to get kids closer to the government and making decisions that said
Just try it.
Bala,
Bala,
Sabrina,
Sabriania, probably.
Sabrina of India.
Louder though. So read that last sentence again, loudly and with confidence.
We hope to get kids closer to the government and making decisions, said Bala Sabrina of India.
And read next. Kingston. Loud and slow. You need to be loud enough so that the camera can hear you.
Terrence also
Carla, focus. Ignore. Go ahead, sorry.
Terrence also reported on her tour of the United Nations building. Her tour ended with an exhibit showing the devastating effects of war. She saw pictures of children soldiers.
Not children.
Child soldiers fighting in war-torn countries. She wrote, "It really reminded me of why the United Nations is working so hard to help improve children's lives and why its mission is so important."
Good. Okay, what is this picture of? Ethan, what is this picture of? Louder.
Nations General Assembly, young people from many countries perform at the opening ceremony of the special session. Others sit in the UN delegates' seats.
Good. Okay. What is the main idea in Terrence's story? You guys don't turn the page. I didn't tell you to turn the page. What is the main idea of Terrence's story? Aaron?
That she was
Okay, who can help her out? What is the main idea of Terrence's story? Should have way more hands than this. We've been working on main idea since, well, before the beginning of 4th grade. Ethan, what is the main idea of Terrence's story?
about
I can't hear you. Was she interviewing kids? Did it talk about her asking kids questions and then what their answers were? What is the main idea of Terrence's story? Victoria.
the main idea was how do kid reporters tell a story when the news is about improving the lives of children.
That's the main idea of this whole passage, but Terrence didn't write that. What is the main idea of Terrence's story? Zari.
Terrence is her main story is to tell us about kids' lives.
I didn't hear about kids' lives. I didn't hear stories about specific kids and what their lives were like. Carla, sit. Leave those headphones on. If I see it again, I'm just going to say, you're not here, so you can go, and I'll count you absent. What is the main idea of Terrence's story? If we don't finish because you won't try, and that means we have to take the quiz after the break, we will. What is the main idea of Terrence's story? Zari? Remember, is the sentence for the main idea always written in the passage? No, it's not. You have to figure out what is the story mainly about. Come on. You're 4th graders. You should be able to do this. What is the main idea of Terrence's story? However, if you weren't listening at all, then you won't know.
She was going to different countries and
She didn't go to different countries. It literally said that year, Terrence got an assignment from TFK to go to New York City. She didn't go to different countries. Come on, guys, you're waiting for other people. I see a lot of people just waiting for somebody else to answer. What is the main idea of Terrence's story? We only have 13 minutes. Mason, what is the main idea of Terrence's story? Is she telling us how to help kids? I'm getting pretty disappointed here. because a lot of you aren't even trying. Kingston, what is the main idea of Terrence's story?
Well,
What is it mainly about?
she went to New York. She went by tour to the United Nations.
Okay, well that's the background. That's what happened. But what is the main idea? What is she mainly writing about? Why is she writing this story? I'm not asking for author's purpose. I'm saying what is the main idea? What is it mainly about? Zadie?
About what they hope the group would accomplish.
Okay, what group? You have to be specific. That was not very specific. Victoria? What about it? Was this just telling us all about the UN, like how it started, why it started, everything it does, who's part of it? Kingston?
UN.
What about them? Was it the whole UN? What was this? What was this event? Some of you aren't even trying, and I'm getting it's frustrating. What is the event that Terrence is writing about? Kingston, what is the name of the event? It has a specific name. Well, looks like we're going to have to take 2 days for this. What is the specific name of this event? Zari. Please don't raise your hand until you have it. Victoria.
Time for Kids.
That's the name of the magazine. Ethan. What is the name of the event that she is reporting on? Mason. That's the group. What is the name of the specific event? Kingston. I never even read World Health Conference for Kids except for here. World Conference for Kids. It says a World Conference just for kids. That's the title of the article, not the event. Zadie?
The United Nations Assembly.
That's the group. That's the room that they are in. Smith?
The United Nations Special Session on Children.
The United Nations Special Session on Children. We see it here. We see it the very last words of that first paragraph. That year, Terrence got an assignment from TFK to go to New York City to cover the opening ceremonies of the United Nations Special Session on Children. Okay? That's what the event is. What is the purpose of the event? What is the purpose of this event? Mason? Nope. That's not the purpose. Kids got to go. The purpose was not to interview kids. Kingston?
It's about basic rights for kids.
So, that was one of the focuses, but that wasn't the only focus. Zadie? Why did this event take place? What did they want to do?
They wanted to cover their main priorities of healthcare, education, and basic rights for the children.
So what were they trying to do? Aaron?
They were trying to promote them.
What do you mean promote them? Like give them a higher position in their job? Ethan? I can't hear you. That's not the main idea. The 2002 United Nations Special Session on Children met to make kids' lives better. That's the main idea of her article. She is writing about how the United Nations Special Session on Children met to make kids' lives better. Now, what are some supporting details? How do we know that that's what the main idea of this story is? The main idea is that the United Nations Special Session on Children met to help make kids' lives better. What are some details that we read that support that? Zari?
Issues with the highest priority were healthcare, education, and basic rights for the children of the world.
Okay, so that tells us they want kids' lives to be better. If they have more basic rights, if they have better education, and if they have better health care, that will make their lives better. Okay, that was one supporting detail. What's another supporting detail that tells us that the United Nations Special Session on Children met to try to make kids' lives better? Zadie.
It says we hope to get kids closer to the government.
They wanted to get kids closer to the government so they can have more of a say, okay? What's another supporting detail? Smith.
The event was a follow-up to a conference held at the UN in 1990 to promote the rights of children.
Okay, why would they have a follow-up to that? Why would they want to meet again about the same thing? Kingston?
Well, to discuss what had been accomplished since 1990 and how much more needs to be done.
So they wanted to discuss what had they been able to do, what did they need to focus a little more on. Okay, we'll have to finish this tomorrow. We should have finished this today, but I don't know. I guess when it's the same thing that keeps happening.